USA Ultimate is proud to present the 2014 USA Ultimate College National Championships. And this is the second men's semifinal. North Carolina Darkside against UNC-WILMINGTON, live from Mason High School Stadium in Mason, Ohio. A look at the men's championship bracket as Colorado has moved on. They beat Oregon 15-8. And now these two in-state rivals will determine the second team in the final round tomorrow afternoon. Alongside Evan Lepler, I'm Wayne Randazzo. A pretty convincing win for Colorado in the first semifinal today, but we expect a pretty good battle here between these two teams that know each other very well.
Oh, this is going to be fun. There's a contempt amongst the two teams, but also a great mutual respect. And you see Colorado and Oregon and North Carolina, three huge state schools. What's UNC-Wilmington doing here, crashing the party? Well, in the upset of the tournament this morning, Wilmington took down the two-time defending champion Pittsburgh in just a classic of a game. The emotions from both teams at the end were stunning. Wilmington was on the top of the world, and Pittsburgh players were literally bawling. There's a lot of emotion pent up. This should be a classic, too.
North Carolina beat a past champion on their way here as well. They knocked off Wisconsin earlier, and Darkside looking to get back into the championship game.
Well, Mike DeNardis has really done a great job with North Carolina. He's got a coaching staff, but DeNardis, the man at the helm, Christian Johnson, their Callahan nominee. He's a phenomenal player, but the guy on UNC I want to talk about is John Nethercutt. He's simply known as Nut. He is the trigger to the offense. He's almost always picking up the disc. He's long and lanky, and he's got tremendous throws. He's fast enough and athletic enough to be an impact defender, but he just plays the game with an intelligence. I thought he was worth highlighting off the top. He's going to be a centerpiece for UNC.
And UNC-Wilmington, founded in 1989, 4 years later, they were national champs, trying to win it for the first time since then.
Wilmington is a program that obviously has been around for a long time, but it's been a while since they've been on this stage. Greg Vassar, Brian Casey, Tully Beatty, their coaches, and Truman Nottingham, one of the captains. He's sort of the John Nethercutt of Wilmington's offense. A center handler, also does some cutting, but he's had a big weekend. And, you know, I asked the Wilmington coaches, who's your best player, and they refused to answer. This is truly a team, Wayne, and as a team, they knocked off Pitt. As a team, they hope to shock UNC, too.
Nothing like a rivalry in tournament time as North Carolina and UNC-Wilmington match up tonight in the second men's semifinal. Winner gets Colorado in the finals. We'll have it for you next. The USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by the Discraft Ultrastar, official disc of USA Ultimate. Ask your retailer for Discraft Ultrastar. The Triple Crown Tour, America's most competitive and prestigious series of ultimate tournaments. The US Open Ultimate Championships and Convention, a gathering of the international ultimate community to celebrate character, community, and competition this July 4th weekend in the Twin Cities. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of ultimate in the United States. To learn more about Ultimate or find out where to play in your area, visit usaultimate.org. Second men's semifinal, North Carolina with Warschauer, Mao, Moore, Setheraman, Johnson, Jimmy Zuron, John Nethercutt. Mike DeNardis' Darkside squad trying to advance to the final to play Colorado. UNC-Wilmington hasn't won a championship since 1993. Jack Williams, Robert Good, Truman Nottingham, Nick Jackson, Ross Anthony, Luke Hancock, and Xavier Maxtat for Greg Vassar's club as UNC-Wilmington, probably the most surprising of all of the semifinalists to be to this point. You'd have to say it was them.
There's no question about it, Wayne. And you look at the seeds, you know, UNC-Wilmington seeded 5th, North Carolina seeded 6th, but all season long, Carolina has been a contender. Meanwhile, UNC-Wilmington really joined the national discussion by winning the AC region over UNC in a pretty surprising upset.
The men in black there, Darkside. Pretty imposing group with their menacing logo on the front. Largely clad in black as Darkside looks to match with Colorado in the championship game tomorrow. It's been quite a tournament for UNC-Wilmington. 3 one-goal victories, including their win over Pitt today in the quarterfinals, 14-13. They lost to Carleton. They lost to Oregon. And their largest margin of victory was a 15-11 win over Rutgers. They have not dominated anybody, but yet here they are.
And what makes it even more incredible is that each of their last 3 games in pool play over Florida, in the pre-quarters against Harvard, and in the quarters against the two-time defending champs. In each of those 3 games, UNC-Wilmington was pulling on Universe Point, playing defense. And 3 straight times they got a break to win. That takes a toll on you, though. How much emotion does this Wilmington team have left in the tank? This is Robert Good, one of their most athletic cutters. Christian Johnson, UNC's top defender, matching up with Good at the start.
Now Nick Jackson looks to float it, dumps it off instead to Truman Nottingham. UNC-Wilmington in the white with tie-dye as their jerseys are all dirty. They did a lot of diving in the first few days in this tournament, including this morning's quarterfinal. One thing I was impressed about with UNC-Wilmington was how much support they had come with them from North Carolina, very vocal support.
They have a culture that is different from most in Ultimate. Very fiery, intense, always looking to be as aggressive as possible. That's Wilmington Ultimate.
And UNC-Wilmington strikes first. Nick Jackson with the goal.
The coaches would not tell me who they thought was the best player on the team, but I asked who's the emotional leader of the team, and they said it was Nick Jackson, the guy that gets everybody going, and for him to get off to a good start, very big for UNC Dub. You know, let's talk about that regional final game for a second. Mike DeNardis, when I talked to him about it, the UNC coach basically said, look, don't want to take anything away from UNC-Wilmington. They beat us, but we had a lot of guys banged up, and we knew that we had a second game to go. They ended up taking down Maryland fairly easily to get to nationals and earn that second bid. UNC hasn't been the healthiest team. This was the game earlier today, UNC-Wilmington-Pittsburgh. There was not a single break in the game until the final score made it 14-13.
And Williams, who just scored that goal for UNC-Wilmington with 5 of them earlier, as the Seamen advanced into this semifinal against their arch rival in the pole from Wilmington with an early lead, and Darkside will have their first possession.
Nethercutt picks up right to Johnson. And back to Nutt. And here he goes.
The huck from North Carolina. Overthrown, intended for Aaron Warschauer.
More and more, North Carolina has become a fixture in the club, in the youth scene. A lot of guys from Chapel Hill High School. Warschauer played for Carborough High School. And North Carolina is a collection of youth ultimate players and athletes who have migrated from other sports. And it's funny, Mike DeNardis makes the distinction, you know, the guys who played youth have great fundamentals, but you have to teach them how to be athletes. The guys who come from other sports, you gotta hone in those fundamentals. A chance for Wilmington to go up 2-0 here.
It was Jake Gallagher with the athletic play, and now Hanaway being pressed. And it looks like that one's gonna come back after Jonathan Nethercutt got in Hanaway's business there. A foul called against Darkside, and UNC-Wilmington will have a chance to reset. The first goal belonging to the Seamen. And now a chance for 2. Still in the air, and finally it's knocked out of bounds. Sethuraman with the defensive play for North Carolina.
And Vikram Sethuraman, one of the unsung heroes of this Darkside team, a very steady offensive line cutter, and getting the disc back on this offensive point for Darkside.
The dump off setting up Christian Johnson with a long toss. And a great catch. Was he inbounds? He was. Nethercutt gets it in for the score to Jimmy Zura. And North Carolina evens it at 1. Or maybe not. There's a stoppage, and it looks like that one might come back.
You want to come up? Yep. Hey, you're right on the line.
So another cut will have to try again. The point comes off the board for North Carolina. What a catch by Nethercutt to set up this goal line possession.
Yeah, I told you he was long and using every inch of those long arms to haul that in and still stay in bounds.
Darkside works it backward. Nethercutt looking for the point, and there it is. Nice and easy that time to Jacob Mao. And Darkside gets that point right back.
A missed opportunity here for Wilmington. The Darkside capitalizes. These two teams have scrimmaged each other over the course of the past few months and really over the past few years. You know, Wilmington, for the most part, has been chasing Darkside. UNC returning to nationals a couple years ago after a lengthy absence. North Carolina has been a key member of the Atlantic Coast region, but went from 2007 to 2012 without a trip to nationals. This is their third straight year on the national stage. Nethercutt a big part of that. Nethercutt a baseball player. He was a pitcher, a catcher, and a first baseman. And he went to basically a summer program at the Governor's School summer program. He grew up in Eastern North Carolina. His RA for this program was a handler at Middlebury. And he basically learned how to throw a disc from him. And that Middlebury handler taught him well.
And here's Nethercutt, one of the top stars for North Carolina, trying to lead Darkside to the championship. The hammer connects. And now a toss in front for Nick Jackson, trying to play catch for a score. And Jackson burns it into Jack Williams. UNC-Wilmington with a quick strike.
Wilmington, rightfully or wrongfully, has always played with a confidence and a swagger. And this year's team has the skill to match it. That's how you knock off a team like Pitt. Now this Wilmington team, the first team to not win their pool and still go to semifinals since the Nationals field expanded. It's been 6 years since the field expanded from 16 to 20 teams. In each of the previous years since that field expanded, you had to win your pool to make the semis. And UNC-Wilmington, again, crashing the party. They weren't just the 2 seed in their pool. This is a Wilmington team that was 0-2 here on Friday. I mean, talk about getting excited to come to nationals. You win your region, knocking off a favorite in Darkside. You lose to Carleton, and then you lose your next game to Oregon, and all of a sudden you're 0-2 and staring elimination straight in the face. And that somehow brought out the best in this team.
They beat Rutgers. They squeaked one out over Florida, 14-13. Same score against Harvard in the pre-quarters yesterday.
Proving that if you can make it into the championship bracket in the top 12 by being in the top 3 in your pool, you get into the pre-quarters and you got a chance. Although in years past, that hasn't necessarily been the case. And the women's side, the 4 pool winners advancing to the semis. You get to play 1 fewer game. If you win your pool, you don't have to worry about that pre-quarter and then come back early the next morning.
After the pool goes out of bounds, Nethercutt walks it up to the brick mark. Maybe the most impressive thing to me about UNC-Wilmington facing elimination, they have put together 3 one-goal victories, finding ways to win as they did earlier against Pitt, where they looked down, Pitt facing game point, and UNC-Wilmington overcoming it as North Carolina ties it again. I have a feeling it might go back and forth for a while, and Jacob Mao gets the goal.
Well, this is what Wilmington has done. You know, Wilmington has traded points pretty consistently through its last 3 games. North Carolina taking down a very good Wisconsin team in the quarters. You know, I don't care what year it is or who's on the roster, the Hodags are always going to be relevant. At least that's how it seems. Hector Valdivia, former Hodag, now in charge of that squad. Colin Camp, their great Callahan nominee. And, you know, UNC and Wisconsin, perhaps more than any 2 other teams, it seems like they just have an army of players. You know, Hodag love, they say. In the Darkside, I made a joke to Mike DeNardis the other day. It seems like after UNC scores, they have so many guys rushing onto the field, it's like they pay black jersey fillers to rush the field just to make it look more intimidating. And it works.
The pull coming from North Carolina. A program in Darkside that's trying to reach new heights. 13th at Nationals in 2012, tied for 5th last year. And for UNC-Wilmington, looking for a return to glory. National champions in 1993.
And there was a time when Eastern North Carolina Ultimate really set the standard. With the ECU Irates and the UNC-Wilmington SEAMEN. Nice little clever double entendre for the Oceanic bunch.
Great breakup by Nathan Warden for North Carolina, diving through to create the turnover. Contact afterward is okay. If you'd have made that contact before, it would have been a foul. But a great effort by Warden, touched the disc first. And now Darkside pushing. Dane Nielsen whizzes it ahead to Chandler. Chandler looks end zone. It's caught. Tim McAllister. First lead for Darkside.
Tim McAllister is a guy who's really come into his own this season for UNC. Fantastic athlete. From small town North Carolina. He grew up in Franklin. You know, North Carolina has its stars, but they also have something of a faceless army of workers. I think McAllister is sort of part of that group.
Now North Carolina enjoying the lead for the first time. And here's how they got here. Pool C winners. A first round bye, an easy time with Wisconsin in the quarters this morning. Facing a team that, Evan, we've mentioned, they know very well, a team they scrimmage against.
They scrimmage against them. A lot of these guys, the top players, play on Ring of Fire, the top club team in Raleigh. Mike DeNardis, who has helped out coaching the Ring team, will be the head coach this year, and one of the captains of the team, UNC-Wilmington coach Brian Casey.
They pulled it there and they spiked it right into the ground. What was the purpose of that?
Well, they're trying to trap him on the sideline to prevent any type of middle field pull play and to just sort of force him to start the game staring into the sun like we are.
We haven't seen that all day in these 4 semifinal matchups, but a unique pull from North Carolina.
I'm hitting the dump.
Coming in, stalling, 3.
Coming in 3.
3, 2.
Maxstat to start the possession for UNC-Wilmington. He floats it deep, looking for the huck on the opening toss. And it's caught! Ross Anthony off the deflection to tie the game.
Want to make it to the semis, you need a little luck. Doesn't hurt to have some to get to the finals too.
Wilmington.
Did one of the Wilmington fans take over the crowd mic? I think that's Robert Good's father, who we saw on the sidelines during the Pitt game.
Seamen, we have to get this. We're gonna make the dark light tonight. The dark will be light tonight. Gotta go.
Johnny be good.
That guy's having himself a good time.
He was very passionately celebrating the win earlier over Pitt as he fell to the ground in heaps of joy as Ross Anthony's the third different Seamen to score. And so far, the battle we expected between these two teams.
As much of a lunatic as he looked like, the UNC-Wilmington players were even more crazy after they won. You know, it was a combination of how is this happening, and we did it.
The pull from Charlie Leanne, and now Darkside goes back to work on offense. And it's been the offenses that have controlled this game so far on both sides. The fake huck. And a forward flick instead, another cut. Working it upfield. Another goal for North Carolina. The running grab made by Jimmy Zura. And both teams haven't having an easy time pushing it upfield.
Yeah, an aggressive layout bid from behind, but both these teams love to put it deep. Jason Alexander giving up the body, but he still comes up empty.
How these two offenses worked up this amount of points so far?
Well, it's been pretty quick scoring, as you said. There hasn't been too much defense, a couple turns early, but since then it's been smooth offense. This reminds me a little bit of the Pitt UNC-Wilmington game. You know, both teams just taking care of business offensively. Some near defensive gems.
The battle of two teams that know each other so well, where does the advantage lie? Does it go to the offense, or does the defense get some help because they pretty much know what these two teams are going to do?
That's a good question. Theoretically, you might think that the defense would have more of an advantage knowing the other players so well, but I think both these teams have such strong offensive players, both handlers and cutters.
Robert Good looking to dump it back, and he does to Nottingham. Flip forward to Ross Anthony. He has a goal today. Nottingham goes for the huck. And another point. Deep downfield to Jack Williams. Back and forth. And easy goals on both sides.
This is perfect timing. A lot of deep cuts that did not come to fruition, but you can't guard them all. And Christian Johnson, who doesn't get burned deep very often, he had been running ragged on that point, up and back.
UNC-Wilmington, we mentioned that the pool play was a struggle. They lost the first two games, ended up third in Pool D. They got by Harvard, though, in the pre-quarters. Pitt in the quarterfinals, both one-goal victories, both on universe points. And UNC-Wilmington knows how to battle. They know how to win these games. They've done it all weekend.
You wonder, are they a team of destiny, just inspired to win every single tight game? Or are they a team that's going to run out of gas here against a state rival that knows their MO? Now, Wilmington has talked about a David versus Goliath type feel. They say they're the perennial underdog. in a situation like this against all these top state schools. It was funny, one of the coaches described their bunch as a rebel army, and literally 30 seconds after he said that, one of the parents screamed, who was not within an earshot of the conversation we were having, screamed at the top of his lungs, "Rebel Army." And that's the mentality, an us against the world type attitude.
Now, when you played Ultimate, did you ever go with the Mohawk look?
I never did.
Still time.
I don't think I could have pulled it off, but I think a lot of these guys don't pull it off either and still go with it, so.
Yeah, well, we got the finals tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if UNC-Wilmington makes it, maybe you'll show up on the broadcast.
Will you do it with me?
With a Mohawk, yeah. Is that what it takes?
I'm on TV again next week. You do a lot of radio, right? Because we both do a lot of radio. We both have faces for radio.
A good start from both sides here. When you have this back and forth, how do they usually play out? I guess it could go all the way to the end like this.
Yeah, well, you know, it becomes sort of a grinding battle. You know, the pressure seesaws back and forth. Right now, the pressure is on UNC. You know, they need to hold serve here and go up 5-4. One break is all it might take. We saw that in Oregon v. Carleton. We've seen that repeatedly in UNC-Wilmington's games, most notably this morning. I ran into Nick Kazmarek, the Pittsburgh coach, in between the men's and women's semis, and you know, he was understandably down. I think he understands that, you know, they've had an incredible run, winning the last 2 championships, but I think there was just a natural shock. I think everybody was shocked to see Pittsburgh go down the way they did. It was a crazy final point to that game at 13-all. Pittsburgh received, and they completed a very iffy 50-50 huck to Trent Dillon, a guy who played high school ultimate with Christian Johnson, who just caught and swung the disc. And Dillon had it about 5 yards from the front of the end zone. He dumped it back. They swung it around. And a full field swing to Max Thorne.
There's no count.
Who's just a remarkable all-around player. And Max Thorne had to chase down this swing. He laid out. The disc was just off his hand. Maybe if he had made one more step before laying out, he might have had it. Hindsight 2020, of course. That one turnover led to UNC-Wilmington capitalizing.
And finally, the disc falls to the ground on an end zone chance for Darkside. Great effort on the layout, but really no chance for Warschauer, way out of his reach. And UNC-Wilmington will try to capitalize. This game has been tied at every turn. 1-1, 2-2, and so on, all the way to 4-4. Quick stoppage here as the observers will get involved. Xavier Maxstat, the junior. The force coming right in front of him from Jacob Mao. UNC-Wilmington working it up the field. Dump it off, a dangerous looking pass to McRain. And backward they go, but Maxstat got tangled up. And we'll see if a foul is called here. Looked like if there was a foul to be called, it was against Maxstat. He seemed to push off.
Watching live, I thought it was incidental contact, and I think this should be a turn. Well, we'll see.
You come to us or send it back? Send it back. All right, so no foul. We're gonna start with the check. Start with the check. Start with the check.
So no foul, incidental contact. Jacob Mao starts the offense for North Carolina. Actually, Nethercutt will come up and flip it, and immediately it's going right back to Wilmington. Nice play by Wilkin Hanaway. Takes a lot of hand-eye coordination. He'll reach out, swat it as soon as it's thrown.
It's great physical ability, bouncing back and forth, staying on the balls of your feet, and Hanaway That's the type of play that can give a team great energy.
A low release and a low throw that Austin McGrain couldn't handle. The sophomore turns it over. Now the defense is starting to pick up, at least for a moment. And Darkside gets it back. Up over 2 defenders, Aaron Warschauer.
Oh, this could be a SportsCenter Top 10 nominee from Aaron Warschauer. Rising above the pack. Timed his leap perfectly and rips it down from the sky. That might have been a foul too. This is the kind of play that both of these teams perhaps try a little too much. I think in the past, the over-aggressive, risky style of ultimate has been the downfall. But it's high risk, high reward, and if you get hot, you're hot.
A great goal for Warschauer. And North Carolina on top. Warschauer at 6'3", used his height to his advantage there. Mike Denardis, the head coach, his Carolina blue cap. You see a lot of the Darkside players wearing the black gloves. Would you recommend that to players?
It's all personal preference. You know, I've talked to a lot of handlers who can't imagine ever wearing gloves. I never wore gloves, tried it once, just didn't like the feel. You want to have the feel of the disc, but there are a lot of elite players that make it work too.
A wild flip, but it's brought down by Truman Nottingham. Not a point though. There's one for UNC-Wilmington as Nick Jackson finishes it off, but it was Nottingham with that leaping catch at the goal line to set it up for the Seamen.
This is becoming a game of huck and hope. And so far, it's mostly paid off for both offenses. That wasn't necessarily pretty. Darkside got it first, but Nottingham there, and Jackson filled the gap right over the goal line.
How come that wasn't a goal to begin with?
I think he caught it with his foot on the line, or one of his feet in and one of his feet out. If that happens, it's called a straddle. Your first point of contact needs to be in. If you catch it flat-footed with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, that's not a score. I think I talked about this last year. There used to be a rule in Ultimate that even if you were in the end zone and you didn't realize you were and you set a pivot foot, you had to complete another throw. You had to acknowledge the goal. Thankfully, it was somewhat of a silly rule, and now that's no longer the case.
Colorado's in. They'll play the winner of this one tomorrow afternoon. And our men's championship, an easy ride for Mama Bird in the semifinal today, beating Ego 15-8. Now Darkside up against UNC-Wilmington. What's been a great battle so far in this first half. 1st to 8 sends us the halftime. And North Carolina with possession in their favor.
Whatever defensive set this was for Wilmington, it was not well done because Nethercutt was wide open for the first throw and just immediately gained 30 yards.
Yeah, they had 3 defenders rush the handler, and that left a lot of open space in the middle of the field.
And if that was supposed to be a junk defense, it didn't work.
When you're ready, defense.
And if it was supposed to be man defense, there was miscommunication and something got lost in translation.
Setharaman swings it back to Nethercutt. He whizzes it forward to Zura. Slinged ahead to Justin Moore. Back to Zura. The left-hand flip is good. Jacob Mao, his 3rd goal of the game. lot of Swiss cheese on the field defensively.
Back and forth we go. The offense taking care of business. That's a real easy throw. The layout makes it look like he's hustling, which he was, but he was clearly beaten up line. Trailing a step and no chance to catch up with Mao. And it looks like a timeout called after this one.
2 timeouts per half for each team. And they both have 1 timeout remaining. As Darkside converges after another soft goal from the UNC-Wilmington defense. You mentioned earlier this might turn into a huck fest of sorts, and we've certainly seen that from both sides, but the short zone scoring is working too.
And really all offense is working. Whoever starts playing big defense is gonna take this game. Again, UNC-Wilmington, the higher seed, but North Carolina considered the favorite.
The final match of the 2014 USA Ultimate College Championship is Memorial Day Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Join us right here on ESPN 3 and the Watch ESPN app for the Men's College Championship. Colorado against the winner of this game tomorrow afternoon. Mama Bird looked tough to beat with Callahan Award winner Jimmy Mickle on their squad. Denny Betches had a big game. And Colorado easily surpassing Oregon today, 15-8.
Wilmington for a long time has hosted one of the best tournaments of the spring, known as Easterns, on their gorgeous fields. It usually had a reputation of being pretty windy. It's a fun tournament to play in, a lot of great memories for me and some not so great memories as well from that tournament.
I think you're Gestapo. I think you're Gestapo.
It was windy here earlier today in Mason. The women's semifinals had to deal with some of that wind, but it's become pretty warm and humid throughout the afternoon into the evening. And the wind has played very little factor in the men's game, certainly.
Look at this flick, full field pull. That is a special, special pull from Jonathan Nethercutt.
He worked out of the windup there. You saw that big swirl before he let it rip. UNC-Wilmington trying to answer yet another Darkside score. Nottingham tosses it forward. And that one taken away as Charlie Schaffner stuck his hand out at the right time and batted the disc down. And a turnover looked like was going right back, but a great catch. But Darkside can't capitalize as Chandler flicks it out of bounds.
Intended for Schaffner and then nearly D'd up, but Drew Chandler was there. He didn't help it himself out by immediately overthrowing his target. You know, number 20, Charlie Schaffner, earlier today, I was told it was 50-50 whether he would even play. He's been battling a bunch of nagging injuries. But out there garnering one of their kickest guys. And Robert Good has him beat deep and a nice switch.
Too high intended for Ross Anthony.
Yeah, great communication there from the Darkside defense. Schaffner bid on the in-cut, and then Good went deep. He had him beat by about 10 yards. They communicated. That deep shot was looking for Good, even though there was another Wilmington guy in the picture.
Wide open, just short of the goal line. And to finish it off, the toss to Drew Chandler.
Look at these black jerseys storm the field. Christian Johnson may have traveled there, had just enough on that flick huck. And this is Schaffner, who was a cornerback, defensive back in high school, started playing Ultimate as a sophomore. His coach says he plays with just great body position defensively, a byproduct of his football days. And clearly, you can just look at him, he is an athlete.
A lot of athletes on the field this weekend, and For Darkside now 1 point from sending this second semifinal to halftime.
One
You got to
athlete,
stay behind that
one
play
athlete
line
not on the
before-
field is number 77
before we-
wearing crutches. That's Ben Snell, probably the most important guy on their D-line during the regular season. You know, Johnson and Nethercutt would anchor the O-line, and usually Darkside would rest Johnson and Nethercutt when the team was on D because Snell was such an incredible factor. Unfortunately, hurt his knee, and for a couple weeks they known he wouldn't play here at Nationals.
Join us for the USA Ultimate College Women's Championship game Memorial Day at noon Eastern, right here on ESPN 3, your home for the 2014 USA Ultimate College Championships. It'll be Ohio State and Oregon battling for the crown tomorrow. What a game that Oregon-Central Florida matchup was.
A heartbreaker for UCF. The Sirens were oh so close, leading 13-12, and then down 14-13. UCF nearly had the game-winning score in its grasp. Just a crazy, crazy outcome. Yeah, her sign was upside down, wasn't it?
It was. Got to make sure that's right side up for TV especially.
So North Carolina has its first break. And now another break would take to half.
A 2-goal advantage, the biggest of the day from either team.
And here again, you know, Mike DeNardis has really tightened up his rotation. Nethercutt, Johnson playing D. No surprise to have Schaffner out there. Jimmy Zura has been all over the field so far.
The pull from Darkside. And a big possession here for UNC-Wilmington. If they don't get the point here and they give one up on the reverse side, it's suddenly a 3-goal disadvantage at halftime. After the pull goes out of bounds, they take it up to the brick mark, and that's what they're doing now. As Xavier Maxstad will kick the offense into gear. Get it to Good. Good gives it right back. Across midfield, and Maxstad's in charge here. Complete a pass, hand it right back. They do it again. They're about to, but Good instead kept it. And a stoppage here, an infraction against Darkside.
Everybody else good?
Well, unlike basketball, you're not allowed to set screens. When it looks like the observers are signaling offsides, that's a signal for a pick when the hands are on the hips.
So now Good swinging it back to Maxstad. He's had it every other time on this possession. And a low throw, a sliding catch is made. Possession still alive for UNC-Wilmington. Jack Williams sends it back.
It's a nice swing to buy a fresh stall count, create a little more space. Now a great dump pass is like the lost art in Ultimate. You float it to space. You plan where it's going to go in an emergency situation. You just let your teammate run it down.
And Hancock fires it in to Williams. A big goal for UNC-Wilmington. They stay close.
Just barely got that around the foot block bid from Nethercutt. Low release flick into the hands of Williams, who gives a hop, skip, and a jump after the score.
Jack Williams with 3 goals for the Seamen. And UNC-Wilmington, at the very least, down by just 1 here. Now if they can stop North Carolina and have a chance to tie before halftime. First team to 8 sends the game to the half. Winner of this one matches up in the finals tomorrow against Colorado.
Well, this is a nice sliding catch near the end zone by Williams, but he wasn't in yet. The stall count was rising. That was the dump throw that led to the swing, and then basically running a mushroom drill. Running from the back of the end zone to the front side cone, and then back of the end zone to the other front side cone. Drill a lot of teams run on game day.
And now Darkside trying to send this game to halftime. First chance for a halftime point. The hammer throw, knocked down. And UNC-Wilmington can tie.
There was just no reason for that hammer right there. Much too risky.
It looks cool though.
I agree, the hammer looks cool, but it's also ill-advised from time to time.
Some contact there, and this one might come back. Can they rule that it was uncatchable?
Yeah, they could. If the guy did not have a reasonable play on the disc, I don't think there's any dispute that there was contact. It's be an interesting call.
They let the players contest it with one another, and if they can't come to a ruling, the observer does.
Okay. Offense is called a foul. Observer ruling, there is no foul. This is too far. We're going to stay right here.
Hey, stay where you are.
So there was contact there. How come no foul?
Well, as the observer said, that the receiver did not have a play on the disc. An uncatchable disc. And that's what the rules of Ultimate are designed to do. You can't use the loopholes in the rules to create a new possession. Sometimes there may have been the equivalent of a foul, but what would the result of the play been if there hadn't been the foul? And you use your best judgment and try to make the most intelligent choice you can.
Again, a chance for halftime point. Zuroff flings it forward. Now Justin Moore looking to flick it. Instead, he dumps it back. And Nethercutt sets up the offense for Darkside. Trying to send this second men's semifinal to halftime. The long floater downfield, wide open at the goal line. The catch is made by Mao. And Mao flips it in for the point. Seatheraman with the 8th and final point of this first half for North Carolina. And Darkside opens up a 2-goal lead at the break.
That over-the-top throw from Christian Johnson worked out. He basically was straddling the end zone line and just patiently found the open man. Seatheraman. So the difference is basically one break.
And North Carolina carrying an 8-6 lead over UNC-Wilmington. Darkside has never won the national championship. And as this game reaches its halfway point, North Carolina potentially 7 points from having a chance to play for their first title tomorrow against Colorado.
There's a meeting of the minds. Ben Snell, Jonathan Nethercutt, Dane Nielsen chatting with the coaching staff. Darkside by 2 at the break.
8-6, North Carolina's on top. It's halftime at the men's semifinal. North Carolina's got an 8-6 lead over UNC-Wilmington at halftime in this men's semifinal. Winner goes on to play Colorado, and Mike DeNardis, the head coach of Darkside, hoping it's his team that can advance. A quick start for both sides. How are you feeling about your offense in that first half?
Offense is doing pretty well right now. We've had a couple hiccups here and there, but I think for the most part it's smooth. We've been making a good amount of plays. I think the transition isn't damaging us too much, and the man-to-man, I think we have the athletes right now and their legs are really tired.
Mike, you obviously know this team so well. What were the key bullet points of the game plan coming in today?
I think we just outmatched them athletically, top to bottom. So I think if we just play an aggressive game, especially with the amount of points they played this weekend, I think it's a very, it's a very easy game to progress into, play really hard, and I think they wear out through the game.
Visiting with the coach of Darkside, Mike DeNardis, and as you look into this second half, what would you like to see your team do to finish this one off?
Just play a little smarter defense. We've given up a lot of easier throws, stuff we worked on all week, and we've been playing really well, planning really well to stop, and we've been stopping it. But unfortunately, right now we're having a little mental hiccup. Maybe it's the big stage. I don't know.
Mike, last thing, earlier today you said Charlie Schaffner was 50-50. He's out there. How does he look to you?
I mean, you see him. He's making plays, and he's still got his speed, so we're going to milk him until he's done.
All right, Coach, good luck.
Thanks.
Mike DeNardis, head coach of Darkside, as we take a look at how North Carolina took the lead in the first half.
Well, it was a back-and-forth game. Not too many defensive highlights in this clip, starting with Nick Jackson. He's sort of the emotional fulcrum of UNCW. And then into the end zone for Carolina, Jacob Mao, an offensive line cutter coming through. This is, again, Jackson hitting Jack Williams. Jack Williams had a huge first half for UNCW. But one break led to most of the scores being in this end zone. And North Carolina's Tim McAllister got involved, and then it really became a huck fest. A fortunate bounce for UNC-Wilmington's Ross Anthony there. And then Zurov feeding it up line for Mao. This is Christian Johnson, the outside in backhand. Mao wasn't in, but he'd quickly find Vikram Sethuraman for the final goal to take half as Darkside leads 8-6.
And Darkside getting a great lift from Zura with 2 assists and a goal. Mao 3 goals in that first half. UNC-Wilmington not quite spreading it out as much. Jack Williams with 3 goals. Nick Jackson 2, and Truman Nottingham a couple of assists in that first half. The sun's setting here in suburban Cincinnati. It's been a beautiful day, a great day of semifinal games. We'll have the second half of the second men's semifinal coming up. North Carolina carries an 8-6 lead over UNC-Wilmington. It's halftime in this second men's semifinal as we bring in the head coach of the Seamen, Greg Vassar. And coach, this first half, back and forth for a little while, but Darkside pulled away just a bit toward the end. What do you think caused that?
Well, we're not being very efficient with our break opportunities. We're getting the disc on D. We're just not able to convert on those opportunities. They're playing great O to D. On offense, we got to continue to be aggressive. We need a little more handler movement up front as well.
Coach, how much do you want your team to just send it deep, and how much is it about grinding out the point?
A little bit of both. We'll send it deep when it's there.
How much emotion has your team used up in getting to this point? A lot of close victories.
This team has a lot of heart. I have no worries that they still have a lot left in the tank.
All right, Greg Vassar, head coach for UNC-Wilmington. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
It's 8-6. North Carolina's got the lead in this second men's semifinal. Winner plays 4-all tomorrow against Colorado. Second half about to start at Mason, Ohio. Mason High School, as this has been a great site for the college championships up through this point. A great day of semifinal action. Oregon and Ohio State winning on the women's side. They'll play for the title tomorrow. Colorado a victory earlier in the men's semifinal. And they'll play the winner of this game tomorrow afternoon as well.
Wayne, I think you hit the nail on the head when you asked Greg Vassar, how much does your team have left in the tank? And he's right by saying his team has a lot of heart. And that's absolutely true. But the fact remains, you're playing against one of the best teams in the country. A team that, yes, you've beaten before, but North Carolina has many fewer miles of emotional ultimate for this weekend than UNC-Wilmington does. So it's imperative that Wilmington gets off to a good start here and keeps it tight, because I'm not sure they'll have it in the tank for a 4 or 5 point comeback.
Jonathan Nethercutt looking for the first throw. He hucks it deep. And a great effort and a great catch for the goal by Justin Moore.
I'm not sure which was greater, the throw or the catch. Look at this strike. Nethercutt just watches it. You went from thinking he had no shot to get it to thinking this could be a great layout to seeing him come up with it on the run. That was a good 75, 80-yard flick with perfect finesse float. Power and also finesse from Nutt.
A SportsCenter top 10 nominee on a great catch by Justin Moore, and like you said, maybe even better throw from Nethercutt.
I would not want to be in a 100-meter dash against Justin Moore either. That kid can fly.
Darkside yesing it up after that incredible goal. And now the biggest lead of the night for North Carolina. They call Nethercutt country strong. And after those last two throws, including the pull there, you can see why.
He's got a nice southern twang to his drawl as well.
From Maury, North Carolina. A lot of NC natives on the field for both teams, both being North Carolina schools. Well represented by the home state. Good running catch by Maxtat.
You know, the North Carolina section has long been one of the strongest sections in the country. Yes, I'm a little biased.
That's in there. Ross Anthony has his second goal of the game. And UNC-Wilmington gets one back.
You know, aside from UNC and UNCW, you have NC State, a team that's won a national title. You have East Carolina, a team that's won a couple national titles. Duke has had some really strong teams. Davidson's had some really strong teams. Elon was in the finals at D3 Nationals this year. Wake Forest has had its moments.
Largely orchestrated by you.
I don't know about largely. I was a small factor in some of our nice runs in AC regionals. But, you know, App State has put together some good teams. UNC Asheville has had some good teams, and some great club teams have come from the western North Carolina mountains. It really is an incredible state for the sport. And, you know, it all really started in the East with Wilmington and ECU.
UNC-Wilmington looks like they've played about 25 games this weekend.
Yeah, they do look a little worn down.
I don't think any of them have showered since they got here on Thursday. It's a gritty bunch, and UNC-Wilmington trying to will themselves back into another game. 3 one-goal victories for UNC-Wilmington in this tournament. They have stayed alive by the skin of their teeth. And they're trying to push one more through to get to the finals and play Colorado tomorrow.
And Wayne, the teams that Wilmington knocked out, here's a deep shot for Johnson.
Another cut makes it look easy again. Another assist on a huck from Jonathan Nethercutt. And Darkside goes back to yes as they waste no time.
This is why I wanted to feature Nethercutt out of the gate today. Look at that throw. You know, you ask where's the defense? It's tough to keep up with Christian Johnson. But this is just picture perfect. It's high in the air, but it's not overly floaty. Didn't hang up there too long to give the defense a chance to make a play.
Is Wilmington losing steam?
North Carolina's gaining steam. I think it's more the latter. North Carolina can see the finish line. But back to the teams that Wilmington knocked out. They knocked out Florida, a team that won a championship in 2006 and again in 2010. Knocked out Harvard, a perennial champion of the Northeast, and a team that consistently has been to pre-quarters and quarters. A Callahan winner from Harvard, and George Stubbs, his younger brother John, the freshman of the year in the Northeast this year. And then they knocked out Pittsburgh, who's been absolutely the peak of college ultimate the past couple of years. And I gotta say, very interesting decision for Nick Kazmarek and the Pitt guys to buy some advertising time on this broadcast. A really cool idea, and I don't think it's ever been done before. And it was a cool spot. I need to go find out how they put that together and whose idea it was. It's certainly the place to reach young Ultimate fans.
Maxtat with Nethercutt in his face. Flings it ahead, gets it right back. Now Maxtat zipping it forward, looking for Good. Out of his reach. And Darkside with a chance to go up 4 for the first time.
Yeah, Good wasn't really open here. Trying to thread the needle, but his defender was right in his pocket.
We've seen teams in these semifinals, with the exception of Oregon and Central Florida, once they fall behind, they have a hard time coming back.
Well, there's no such thing as a three-point shot or the two-point conversion or anything like that. You just got to grind. You can see comebacks. We saw it from the Washington women earlier today. They were down 10-6, went on to go on a 9-3 run to win 15-13. There are stories about incredible comebacks in Ultimate. And 10-7 is, not over by any means.
Second one.
At Easterns, as a matter of fact, this year,
Hold up, hold up.
the Michigan
hold up.
Magnum team had a slew of incredible
Technical for the
comebacks.
coach being over the line.
The coach just got a tee.
Hey, it's here.
Technical
Here,
fouls.
it was a pick, right? So it's one. It was in the air.
A new feature in Ultimate this year. Basically 2 technical fouls, and it's a yardage penalty. Just separating the technical stuff from the on-field stuff. Technical's more for behavior, and the TMF's more for on-field improper conduct.
Both teams are on the same sideline, so it's tough to tell without them saying which coach got it, but here's the reasons why you get one.
Swearing, rushing the field too early. Obviously, if the coach is on the field when he's not supposed to be.
That would be under not respecting player lines on sidelines, and a goal for UNC-Wilmington. Nick Jackson has his 4th of the game.
Robert Good with a nice pivot, low release, backhand to Jackson. Jackson's going to need to be one of the most important guys for Wilmington here if they're going to get back into this. The type of guy that can inspire the team with his defense and just his overall attitude and charisma on the field.
A good night for Jackson as UNC-Wilmington's down 2.
I never got to mention it when we showed the halftime summary, but in the first half, North Carolina did not have a single goal or assist that involved Nethercutt or Johnson. We'll get back to that thought in a minute. UNC-Wilmington went 0-2 on Friday, but taking down Florida and Rutgers, the 2 bottom teams in the pool. Florida was a Universe Point win, a game in which they pulled on Universe Point. That put them as a 3 seed, just barely into the pre-quarters. They played Harvard, who finished 2nd in Pool A, snuck by Redline, and then this morning in what I think is the game of the tournament over at Pittsburgh. But the point about Johnson and Nethercutt, clearly they were involved in the first half. I mean, they both played a ton of points. They both had a bunch of touches. Just because they didn't factor in the stat sheet in terms of goals or assists doesn't mean that they weren't key guys in North Carolina's taking half 8-6.
They'll get set again.
A ruling here by the observer. What was he trying to explain here? UNC-Wilmington down by 2.
What?
Yeah, delay of game.
No, you guys not ready to pull.
Touching the head, they weren't ready to pull. There's a limited amount of time. I think they get 1 warning, and then it would be a yardage penalty.
They weren't even sure that the foul was on them. I heard the observer say, no, it was on you. The pull coming up here.
Well, it's tough because there's no shot clock. It's all being relayed by the observers, and it's easy to get in your own world listening to your teammates and tuning out everybody else, especially in a stadium atmosphere like this. The observers do play an important role in the administration of the game time-wise.
Knocked down. Big stop by the UNC-Wilmington defense. And now they can use a score to make it a one-goal game. Austin McGrain over the middle of the field, slapping the disc down, and now the huck comes from Maxtat. And it's intercepted.
Christian Johnson just sized that up the whole way. Again, looking for Jack Williams, but he wasn't open. Johnson was in his pocket and then had the position and then made the play.
A 2-inch difference between Johnson and Williams, helping Darkside get it back. And that one goes out of bounds, so UNC-Wilmington will resume a possession after Sether Rahman stepped out. Big opportunity for the Seamen. This is how they came back earlier against Pitt. They took advantage of these chances. Maxtat flips it up deep. Deflected and knocked down. But there might be a foul here. Charlie Leanne thought there was, and now the observers will talk about it. And they'll say no foul very quickly.
I think they got to the decision here even before the observers got involved, deciding collectively that was no foul. Look at this sort of two-man cup trying to prevent Nethercutt from hucking right off the bat.
He's bound to throw it about 80 yards.
They're just trying to throw some junky looks at him, trying to get the disc out of his hands. Easier said than done.
They bring back the cup, a hammer throw. That was knocked away again by McGrain a couple of times. He's gotten his hand on the disc.
Yeah, McGrain has done some good things defensively, just a sophomore. Now, a couple years ago, Wilmington started a B team for the first time. And on this year's Seamen squad, there are 8 guys who played in the B team the last 2 years, and that's how you build a program. That's why they're here in the semifinals, because of that program, much like some of these other top schools.
McGrain called for the foul there in the end zone. We'll see if the observers rule here.
Okay. There was contact, but you jumped so early there was no way you were going to catch that, so we're starting with a check.
Don't move, don't move, don't move.
No foul.
I told McGrain he had no chance to catch it because of his mistimed jump.
Okay, then you have to take it.
On a floating disc, that one hung for a while.
It's an interesting decision. There definitely was a push from behind, and
the push was before the jump.
Yeah, if I'm with the benefit of replay,
big break for UNC-Wilmington.
Sometimes they say the disc doesn't lie. Oh, wow.
And a diving catch. And it's caught by the Seamen.
And they called the disc down. There's the turn, the turf disc intended for Johnson. Did he get this before it hit the...
He absolutely caught it.
Wow.
Eric Esposito with the dive.
Reverse angle.
Does anybody on white need a stop? Anybody need a stop on white?
Sure looks like he caught it. Although, yeah, that's a good call. From that angle, you could see the disc was loose for a small second.
His left hand came out from underneath it at the very last moment. He had it for quite a while before that, though.
You're basically right on the desk.
Over here, over here, over here.
A call that goes against UNC-Wilmington.
Are we all set? Are you ready? 20 seconds.
And now Darkside has some time to go grab the disc and put it back in play. And they call a timeout, one of 2 in this second half. That could have been a huge turning point in this game. A turnover forced at the goal line. And on the very first toss, Eric Esposito with a diving try. He had it for a moment. At the very last second,
he needs to sustain possession through the entirety of the catch.
I mean, he dove for about 4 yards there after he had possession. And it was at the last second when the left hand got loose.
Reminds you of the Calvin Johnson play. in the NFL on opening day.
I mean,
say a few years ago. It might be 4 or 5 years ago now.
How long did you want him to dive?
I think you got to hold possession of the disc. I mean, I think clearly
until tomorrow.
No, you got to hold the disc through the celebration of the disc, really. And as he finished his slide, the disc starts to slide out of his hands.
It looked like even as the left hand came away, the right hand still had it until the very last moment. Even after that, the right hand even lost control very briefly.
But the right hand was on top of it for a moment as the disc may have slid free.
The left hand comes away at the end, and then watch the right hand as he does have his right hand on top at the moment.
See, right there, he didn't have it. Right there, he didn't have it. It took us, what, 5 replays to figure it out for sure?
Yeah, these observers are pretty good. They've got it all down. They wear orange for a reason. And now a stoppage of play in the end zone as this game gets down to its business end.
Hey, Marker,
there's a lot at stake. A trip to the championship.
Coming in 5. Coming in 5.
Every moment being put under the microscope.
There's a lot of space downfield here. Everybody is within about 25 yards of the disc.
Good, had a chance for the Callahan there, couldn't grab it. And now Nethercutt looks to throw it deep on the hook from Nethercutt. And again, Nethercutt connects with Christian Johnson.
Too good. He's too good. From his own end zone to a good 5-6 yards deep into the other end zone. Solid 80 yards on this flick. With float and velocity and finesse, and hitting Johnson right in stride.
Just nothing you can do to defend that bomb from Jonathan Nethercutt, and he's done it 3 times in this second half.
He's a real unassuming young man. Loves to play this game. He's been a key centerpiece of the Darkside offense for a couple years now, and really last year he started to really feel confident. You see the Darkside led by 2 at the break. Nethercutt has had 3 of his 4 assists here in the second half.
And they've all been on deep throws. Nick Jackson, 3 goals for UNC-Wilmington. The winner plays Colorado tomorrow for the championship. The women's side is set. Ohio State against Oregon. We'll have both games for you tomorrow on ESPN 3. And another spike pull there from Nethercutt.
Yeah, they call that the roller. Just wanted to force Wilmington to start on the sidelines. Wilmington loves their straight stack in the middle of the field.
And there you go with the familiarity. Darkside knows all about it. Trying to play against what works for UNC-Wilmington. Right now, Wilmington needs to make it work quickly. They're down 3, matching their biggest deficit. They haven't been able to stop Nethercutt in this second half.
You know what Mike Denardis said at halftime? It was a little arrogant, but it was also true. He said, our athletes are better than their athletes, and over the course of an entire game, we're going to wear them down. And he was right.
He said they totally outmatched them athletically. Quite a statement. As Darkside tries to advance to the title game, Nick Jackson has another goal for UNC-Wilmington.
It's going to be interesting tomorrow, and this game is far from over. But if North Carolina can hang on here and get 4 more points in advance to the final, tomorrow UNC is not going to physically overwhelm Colorado. That's just not going to be the case. Colorado has the horses to match. This is a nice flick to space, and again, Jackson toes the line and hauls it in for UNC-Dub.
Jason Alexander of UNC-Wilmington, he hasn't been out there very much today, so as he approached the sideline to play on defense, he's doing wind sprints up between the goal line and the 10-yard line.
A lot of that is getting loose. A lot of that is getting fired up. And Wilmington knows it's going to need at least 2 breaks to get back in this.
First of 15. Will advance to the final to play Colorado tomorrow afternoon. The pull coming from UNC-Wilmington.
I'd like to see Wilmington tighten up the handler defense on Nethercutt. You can't let it be so easy for him to get the disc back in his hands. See, right now, you need to deny Nethercutt the disc. It was too easy for him to get it back, and now he, gives it to Johnson, but instead could have just as easily sized up the huck.
What about switching the defender? Nethercutt is 3 inches on Hanaway, who's been guarding him most of the night.
Now he's going deep on him.
You can see the incredible size difference between Hanaway and Nethercutt as they play one-on-one.
Well, so many benefits of having a really tall handler. Obviously the vision and the reach, but also on a turnover, he's basically your last back on defense, and if he has size and he's athletic as Nethercutt is, that's a weapon as well. It's a safety blanket. Off a turn, a quick deep shot could get the disc back for you because Nethercutt can get the D right back.
And Nethercutt's running circles around Hanaway at this point. Hanaway really gasping for air to keep up.
That was a TMF, I'm not sure on who. The blue card. Team misconduct foul.
Do you see adjustments made like that? You see the middle of the screen there with Nethercutt running away from Hanaway again. And now another stoppage. The observers who in this game that's quote-unquote self-officiated have been very, very involved in this one especially. Christian Johnson floats it out. Leanne with a tough defense, and now back to Johnson, and Leanne might get called for a foul here.
Thrower called foul before the throw.
Charlie Leanne does accept the foul against Warschauer. Those that say no harm, no foul. Johnson looking for the point to Nethercutt. Over Hanaway, who he has outmatched all night. And a headbutt for the disc.
Oh, he holds it up for him here. Were you looking for this?
I mean, not only a size disadvantage, a speed disadvantage. That's a mismatch that's really hurting UNC-Wilmington.
He has done it all here in the second half. I don't know if I've ever seen a water contraption quite like that before.
There's a little celebration out of it from Nethercutt. 4 assists and a goal, and North Carolina feeling pretty good about themselves. First of 15 advances.
It's basically a tub with some tubes coming out of it. You can take a bath or you can stay hydrated, one or the other.
Nethercutt just did both, and Darkside with a
That's right, you could do both.
3-goal lead.
Although it's more of a shower than a bath.
Impressive performance by Nethercutt tonight. Now UNC-Wilmington will try to kickstart their offense, although the offense hasn't really been the problem. It's been what's happened on defense for them tonight. Maxtat to handle it. Tim McAllister flanks him. Now Good whizzes it back to Maxtat. A quick foul. Maxtat goes back to work. Nottingham's been quiet in this second half. Nick Jackson's had a good night. He floats it ahead to Good. Now some tanglement as...
It was two Wilmington players tripping over each other.
And Good went down.
You can't call a pick on your own teammate in that situation.
Jackson dumps it back. Nottingham swings it forward. Gets the completion to Ross Anthony. Now for the point. A diving catch by Nick Jackson.
That was awesome. That could springboard UNC-W down the stretch. Look at this. Jackson still has some fuel in the tank.
Half of the goals tonight for UNC-Wilmington scored by Jackson. And that includes the last 3 UNC-Wilmington scores. But now the question, Evan, can UNC-Wilmington figure something out defensively to hold down Darkside and really keep things away from Jonathan Nethercutt?
That's going to be the key. You know, when the disc has been in Nethercutt's hands, good things have happened for UNC. So Wilmington needs to change something up here. That's what they're talking about during the timeout.
The final match of the 2014 USA Ultimate College Championships is Memorial Day Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Join us right here on ESPN 3 and the Watch ESPN app for the Men's College Championship, Colorado against the winner of this game.
Want to again send out our best wishes to Gabe Fruchter, the star for Oregon. Hope he's all right. He went down the very first throw of the first point of the semifinal against Colorado, and that really took a lot of the wind out of Oregon's sail.
About 3.5 minutes here before the soft cap horn goes off, which could bring down the point limit in this game to 14 instead of 15.
Well, UNC's in no particular hurry. Going to be interesting to see what Wilmington does here defensively. Good, who's played a lot of offense, is out there defensively. Xavier Maxtad has been a key guy. Johnson's going to catch this pull. Zara, the center handler, and Nethercutt's in the stack.
Zara being cupped for the moment. They have pulled Hanaway off of Nethercutt, which has to help things for UNC-Wilmington.
North Carolina has really solid spacing, especially off the pull.
Jake Gallagher now defending Nethercutt. The hammer throw works. Wide open, Setharaman. And Darkside 2 points away from the finals.
Yeah, tactical precision here from UNC. You know, they start in a basic horizontal stack, but they're just isolating to get Nethercutt open to create a throwing opportunity for him. Easy handler over the top to Mao, and then, you know, Setharaman. He could have caught that between his legs and at least made it look a little tough.
Looked like he was taking a picture as he sandwiched the disc and flashed a big smile.
You know, I was a primary center handler, and I often struggled when guys would get up all into you and, you know, really get in your grill and just try to create havoc around you. I think I'm a little surprised Wilmington hasn't tried to do that more. I think perhaps they haven't because they're afraid of getting burned by his deep game, because he could just take off deep as well. He's that versatile of a player. But I mean, he just had all day to look around and find the open man with that hammer.
A minute before the soft cap horn goes off, although that really won't come into play now, as the magic number is 15 for North Carolina. They need 2 more. And Nethercutt on the pull. He jams it into the ground again. This one stays inbounds, though. As UNC-Wilmington goes for the huck on the very first try. Jackson trying to stay in bounds, but the disc doesn't. And now Darkside will get it back. Why was Maxstad allowed to run after the pull there?
Well, he went to where the pull initially went out of bounds.
Okay.
It rolled out and it came back in, but he gets to go exactly where the disc went out of bounds, and that was his estimate. And since that disc never came back inbounds and it was not touched by a defensive player, Carolina gets to take it from the point it went out of bounds, which is the point he released the throw.
And great field position for Darkside to take
Oh
their
my.
biggest lead tonight. And they do, wide open. North Carolina gets it in to Charlie Schaffner. And Darkside is a point from the finals.
Our crew could be working on a John Nethercutt hammer package. I mean, right on the money. That is such a difficult throw, and he makes it look so easy. And with his height, even if the defender has his hands up, there's not much the defense can do.
Nethercutt's had probably the most impressive game out of anyone in the semifinals that we've seen today. And he has been outstanding in this second half. 4 assists out of his 5 in the game. And they have all been lengthy throws, a couple of them the length of the field.
Wilmington just took a timeout. Carolina has stretched the lead to 4. And you know, this is about finishing it up here. Mike DeNardis, who started playing Ultimate at Iowa. He went to Iowa as a wrestler, tried to walk onto the wrestling team. Didn't work out, was on Iowa's first ever team. Played in Chicago for a long time with Machine. Has come down to the Triangle area, North Carolina, and helped to lead this Darkside team to glory.
Look at what Jonathan Nethercutt has done tonight. Fling it across the field, 75 yards, no problem. I'll throw it, you get it.
It's a lot of fun to just huck it up there and watch your teammates make plays. Just such a ferocious windup. Releases it with a violent wrist action to keep the disc stable and secure.
And the last one, the hammer into the corner of the end zone. An impressive night for Nethercutt. He has helped systematically pull apart UNC-Wilmington tonight. And as the Seamen get possession here, they need to go on a run to the end if they're going to stay alive and force themselves into the final against Mama Bird tomorrow. Colorado advancing today. They beat Oregon 15-8. Another zinger out of bounds from Nethercutt. That strategy has seemingly worked in this second half. UNC-Wilmington pinned up against their sideline after the pull, and they have not been nearly as fluid offensively since halftime.
It also gives the defense a chance to set, get to match up the way you want.
Luke Hancock to start it off. He's been quiet in this game. Hucks it into traffic. And the interception from Nathan Warden. Now Darkside as Nethercutt comes leaping into the picture, trying to finish it up. Nethercutt for the win. North Carolina heads to the finals. It turned into the Jonathan Nethercutt show in the second half. 5 assists, a hug for the injured Ben Snell, and Darkside has a chance tomorrow to win their first ever national championship.
Look at him. Just a quick point. You want to go? Okay, sure. No problem. I'll put it right there for you. Go get it, Charlie. That was the story of the second half. A parade of hammers and forehands. And Darkside has gone deeper into nationals than it ever has before. It'll be Darkside and Mama Bird tomorrow. North Carolina and Colorado, a matchup that so many have looked forward to. They met in the quarterfinals at the Stanford Invite. Everybody thought they would meet in the finals, but there was an upset in pool play, so it was a quarterfinal game. North Carolina won. But Colorado, the 1 seed in nationals, in part because Wilmington beat UNC in regionals. Carolina gets its revenge in the national semifinal under the lights.
Darkside to face Colorado tomorrow in the championship. North Carolina advances. And a chance tomorrow to be national champions for the first time ever, facing Jimmy Mickle and Mama Bird. The USA Ultimate College Championships have been presented by the Discraft Ultrastar, official disc of USA Ultimate. Ask your retailer for Discraft Ultrastar. The Triple Crown Tour, America's most competitive and prestigious series of ultimate tournaments. The U.S. Open Ultimate Championships and Convention, a gathering of the international ultimate community to celebrate character, community, and competition this July 4th weekend in the Twin Cities. And by USA Ultimate, the national governing body for the sport of ultimate in the United States. To learn more about Ultimate or find out where to play in your area, visit usaultimate.org. North Carolina advances to the finals. They beat UNC-WILMINGTON 15-10. Jonathan Nethercutt was a big reason why. Some incredible throws in that second half. You gonna ice the arm after those bombs you were dropping?
Probably just slightly. Hopefully it'll last through without ice, but we'll see.
John, I know you got the green light, but that was ridiculous in the second half. I mean, what got into you there?
I mean, the windows were there and the cutters were running hard, and they had the legs through the second half. We've done a good job of saving legs throughout the weekend, and I mean, I played with these guys all year. I know when they're open, and a lot of times going deep, people like Christian Johnson, that's a lot. Usually whenever he cuts, he's generally going to be open if you put it flat and out to space, because he's just faster than 90% of the people that guard him.
A chance tomorrow for the first title in program history. What will it take to beat Colorado?
I mean, it'll take strong defense, definitely. I mean, they definitely have a lot of offensive weapons, but I mean, it'll take a complete game. That's one thing we've been striving to do all year, is play a complete game. Not just a one-half effort or just a one-half effort. We struggled a little bit with that today against UNCW. They gave us a good test in the first half. We weren't without our miscues and turnovers. But then we pulled it together in the second half. Still weren't without turnovers there, but it was definitely a more complete half on that side. And we just have to put two halves together. We did a good job of doing that this morning against Wisconsin. That game wasn't perfect either, but it was two strong, complete halves, and that's what we have to have tomorrow. And we've got to rely on our depth. So,
was it a little extra special to beat UNC-WILMINGTON?
It was extra special just having two North Carolina teams in a semifinal. Now, granted, I would have loved to have them on the other side of the bracket to meet in the finals, but you can't have everything. But no, it was definitely special. They beat us and took it to us in the regional final, so it was nice to get a little rematch on that. And it's always fun to battle those guys. They work hard, they grind, they give us a test. So any game against them, it's a special thing.
Hey, John, one last thing. You played Colorado at Stanford. It was a quarterfinal game. It was a really windy day. Do you learn anything from that game that carries over to tomorrow, or completely different circumstances entirely?
I wouldn't say completely different circumstances. The wind wasn't quite as windy on Sunday of Stanford when we played Colorado as what it was Saturday. But every time you play a team, you definitely learn something, whether it's strategic or whether it's just patterns on individual players. You learn a little bit about the matchups and who you need to focus on going into player by player, which individuals match up well with others. So I think we definitely learned stuff. I mean, obviously we would have loved to see him more often during the year. But no, I think we definitely learned a bunch during the Stanford invite. And we look forward to a good game tomorrow.
All right, Jonathan, congratulations. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Jonathan Nethercutt, an incredible game for him, especially in that second half, helping carry North Carolina to a win as we take a look at our Discraft play of the game. Nethercutt letting one rip.
Well, he talks as good as he throws, huh? It's a fine interview, but a fine flick too. Just sending his teammates to space. That time it was Justin Moore, Christian Johnson, a reliable target, Jacob Mal, and Vikram Sethuraman as well. A great second half performance by Carolina, keyed by the quarterback, Nethercutt. He was simply sensational.
And now North Carolina advances to the final. They play Colorado tomorrow. How do you think that one shapes out?
It's a really interesting matchup. It's the game that I think everybody's wanted to see on this stage, on national TV. It's going to be really fun. I think Colorado may be a very slight favorite, in part because North Carolina is missing Ben Snell. Colorado is just an athletic team. North Carolina is too, but Mike DeNardis won't have the same confidence going against Colorado's athletes as he did against UNCW. There are a lot of X factors. You know, UNC has an army. UNC might be a little bit deeper. Colorado maybe a little stronger at the top. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
North Carolina, Colorado tomorrow afternoon in the men's final. First, we'll have the women's final at noon Eastern on ESPN 3. Ohio State matches up with Oregon. That should be a great one, 1 versus 2.
Well, there's so much meaning behind this game. You know, the women's title has resided in the Pacific Northwest forever. And to dethrone the entire region, Ohio State has to take down the defending champs. So many storylines. Or Ohio State won the only meeting this year. That was a while back, though. A lot of different factors heading into tomorrow.
We'll have it all for you tomorrow afternoon. The women's final first, Ohio State against Oregon. North Carolina versus Colorado in the men's final. For Evan Lepler, I'm Wayne Randazzo saying so long from Mason High School Stadium in Mason, Ohio. The final score, 15-10. North Carolina beats UNC-Wilmington. To watch this entire game on replay, log on to WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app. Thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN.